Hi, everybody. Lauren here. Welcome to another episode of Energy Works, my second solo episode. And I wanted to talk today about addiction and a specific kind of addiction, not drug or alcohol, which is what we generally start to think about when we think about addictions, but something maybe more overlooked and this kind of insidious creep into our lives. I'm going to speak specifically of myself. I don't generally have an addictive personality. There can be chocolate in the house forever, chips, ice cream, doesn't really matter to me. I drink coffee occasionally. I don't drink alcohol at all. I can't metabolize it, so I just don't. So I just don't have that kind of personality. And however, I've been noticing this creep, and it occurred to me that it is either bordering on or maybe is already a full-blown addiction. And I'm going to show it to you right now. Here it is. The ubiquitous smartphone. And, you know, I like to think Ram Dass said this about the ego, that it's a wonderful servant, but a horrible master. And I feel that is the same thing with these devices, computers, smartphones, tablets, all that kind of things. They're incredible servants if you can get them to work for you. I mean, we have the world at our fingertips in a way that we never have before. It's unbelievable. Any question that you have, any topic that you want to know more about, you can know instantly. A location on the globe, you can know instantly. You can see it. You can get the satellite images and actually see the trees around the cottage that you might be renting on the other side of the world. It's unbelievable. Literally, it's hard to believe. And yet many of us have succumbed to the built-in addictive qualities. We know now from a lot of the research and the news stories that have come out that these websites that we use, especially social media, are actually built to addict you, and addict you they do. And so I just started to notice, I like to think of myself that I am stronger than that. I don't know, that I wouldn't succumb to something so trivial and meaningless. And yet I started to do a little self-study recently, and I just noticed, and I'm thinking, where did it come from? So I've done a lot of travel recently, a lot of airport time, a lot of waiting around time. Perfect time to get on your phone and play your games, Wordle and Connections, and to check out the news. And, you know, my excuse is, well, I'm at the airport and what else am I going to do? Of course, I could be reading a book and a magazine, which I also do that too. But it's just really easy to scroll. And I've also been planning a lot of trips recently. I have a lot of travel that I need to do for work. So I'm always looking at, you know, where am I staying? What am I renting a car? Am I not? Who's picking me? All of those things. So again, scroll. But then what I started to notice is, and this is like the big tech no-no, is do not look at your phone first thing in the morning. But I started to see, well, I'll just check quickly before I get onto the yoga mat. And then I started to see myself doing, this is full admitting, like, please don't tell this to anybody, but like I was doing yoga with my phone in my hand. Like I would do a pose and like a long hold. Well, while I'm holding that, I'll scroll for a minute, or I'd be doing a long stretch and let me just read that one article. It became this compulsion, and it was like I couldn't put it down, and I would just feel like sticky around, like, where is my phone? Has anybody texted me yet? Has anybody responded to that email yet? And reading all of this useless content, like truly, it does not affect my life one way or the other if Kim Kardashian is no longer the it girl. And it really doesn't make any difference to me if Prince Harry is ever going to make up with his dad. And it really doesn't make any difference to me what Jennifer Aniston is doing with her hair this season. And yet, these were the stories I was clicking on. Now, I was also reading quote, hard news, which is devastating in its own way to the nervous system. And so maybe I was kind of filtering in the Kardashian Prince Harry stuff to kind of calm myself down in between screens of the horrors going on in the world. Nonetheless, none of them are really supporting me as a human being. Now, you could say it's valuable to know what's going on in the world so that you can know how to respond or what you need to do. And that is true to a point. However, this endless, continuous scrolling of things that you really can't affect or have any input on is detrimental to your own mental health. I have a friend who, by her own admission, struggles with anxiety disorder. And she says, every time I watch the news, I'm just crazed. And her husband watch the news on, I don't know what device they're watching on, but they pause and then they talk about what's going on and then they start it up again. And she's like, by the end of, 2 or 3 hours of that, which is how long they would do, I'm just a mess and a nightmare. And she's like, I'm considering going on anti-anxiety medications. And I'm thinking, instead of going on anti-anxiety medications, maybe just stop watching the news because it is anxiety producing. So easy enough for me to say that to her. And then I turn the mirror back to myself and I see my sticky fingers. Where's my machine? What do I need to look at now? How can this isn't conscious, this next one. How can I avoid doing the things that I need to do, the work that I need to do, anything else? I can look at my phone. I can scroll and, I'll just sit down after lunch and I'll just have a quick look at what's going on in the world. And then I'll do this thing with the clock. Like if it's 12:32, I'm like, well, I'll do it to 35. And then it's like 37 when I look up again. Okay, well, I'll keep looking until 40 or 45. Like I have to give these like round numbers as that's the number that will then make me get off the phone. And it was just kind of getting out of hand. When I saw myself doing the phone and the yoga at the same time, that was when I had like a little light bulb moment. Like, this is really not healthy. And this might actually kind of be out of your control now. And that's when the word addiction came into me, because the addictive nature of something is you might consciously think that you don't want to do this. I don't want to eat sugar anymore. I don't want to drink alcohol anymore. I don't want to smoke that cigarette anymore. And yet you are compelled to do it and you can't stop yourself, or it happens before you can even remember that you didn't want to do it. And I was noticing that. Like, I would just get up and click the phone on. That would be the first thing that I would do. And that sets your whole day. Like, we also know that how you start your day can set the tone for your whole day. So if you start your day by getting up, maybe just sitting quietly for a few moments, maybe writing in your journal or having a gratitude moment or going onto your mat and doing a yoga practice, or even making a cup of tea and just sitting and listening to the birds chirp, like all of those things set the tone to have a beautiful, peaceful, calm, grounded, purposeful, centered day. Versus scrolling first thing in the morning and you're like, oh, this thing horrible is happening there, and this thing's horrible happening there, and this politic thing is happening there, and I can't do anything about it. So now I feel like hamstrung and hopeless and helpless. And then you're down the rabbit hole. And that's how you've started your day. Doesn't feel very healthy, does it? So I decided that I was going to put some structure to my use of this very powerful device, because we could go the Luddite version, right? And have the flip phone. And I know I have actually two very close friends who have the flip phone. And so I could go that way. I still have my computer where I'm spending a lot of my day with work. And it's funny, I don't do as much time eating on the computer because I really am there just to do my work. And when I finish all that, the last thing that I want to do is scroll, but I'll get off the computer and then I'll get on my phone and lie on the couch and scroll. So it's really just a weird thing. Something about having it be that small and that it can go with you anywhere. And you're in line at the bank and maybe scroll. And you're at line at the grocery store, maybe scroll. You're waiting in the doctor's office, maybe scroll. And then you look around and everyone's scrolling. Everyone's hunched over their phone, scrolling. And it's so disruptive to our way of communicating with each other, our way of being with each other, our way of being with ourselves. I remember back in the day, we didn't have all of these things, just being, just sitting, waiting, being present with whatever was. Do you remember boredom? When's the last time you felt bored? That is a really powerful emotion state to be in. It's the place of nothing that then powerful things can emerge from. Deep presence and witnessing and focusing, looking at something. That is how science began. And we don't do that. We don't take the time anymore to just do nothing, to look up at the sky, to talk to a stranger because the stranger and you are in some place and there's nothing to do. You're both waiting. And then it's like, hey, oh, where are you from? Oh, up. And all of a sudden you have a new friend. We don't do that anymore. We isolate ourselves in this false sense of community that social media can give us, that we're connected to all of these people and all of these places all around the world. Even this idea of feeling connected to our heroes or the stars, whether they're movie stars or sports figures or political figures, we feel connected to them because we're following them and they post and we can read it in real time. But that's not real connection. That's not real connection, because connection is seeing and being seen. It is relational. And what we're doing with our phones is unidirectional. Even when we're posting and getting back and forth and we get into it with someone on social, that can like raise up all of our emotionalness, all of our emotions, right? But it's still not relational because we're not sitting right there in a room with someone having a conversation. And some of the absolute cruelties that happen on social media would never happen in real life. Even if you're one of the people, and I'm going to full disclosure here, I have posted in anonymous ways on some media that I am not proud of. And I've gone back then and erased them and, all that's reflected. Why was I so cruel or why was I so mean? Things that I would never do in real life. That's not the same as not calling someone out for their bad behavior. I think that's acceptable. But the way that people do it on social media is really cruel. And I want to say unacceptable. And all of these things happen when we start to become addicted to these devices and we start to feel controlled by them. And more, we're finding that this is happening to adults. There's a lot of research on kids and devices, and now there's starting to be school systems, entire school systems, which don't allow kids to have their phones during school hours, which is amazing. It is such a brilliant and kind of like seems like a no-brainer, but it's only, I think, 4 or 5 states that do this, not all of them. So it's not that much of a no-brainer, even though it feels like it should be. And so while we're limiting screen time for children, we don't look and limit our own screen time. And that's exactly what I decided to do because it was getting out of control. And so I just put it down. Now, I'm not allowed to pick it up before my yoga practice. I'm not allowed to just, while away the hours. And what I noticed start to happen is not that I suffer from anxiety, but there was this like buzzy intensity feeling that I would feel quite often. Maybe it's anxiety adjacent. And I felt it start to come down. My calmness start to come down. And just the other day, I was outside and I was watering the garden and I was just looking around and watching all the, the birds flying around and the moths flying around. And I live out in the woods and this one deer came out of the woods and I was walking with the hose and she was just walking along. And I sort of felt like she looked at me, but she wasn't scared. And it was just like I was another creature in the forest and so was she. And it was so peaceful. And I felt the sense of belonging and the sense of calmness. And I noticed that I started just spending time just being, not reading the book or the magazine to fill that space that the lack of phone use was presenting to me, but just being, looking around the room. And I started to, or the grounds if I was outside, and I started to do things that I had neglected for so long. Just like pick a corner of the house and reorganize it, or reach out to a friend, write a letter, just all kinds of things that I had not been doing before because I had been using every spare minute to scroll. And so I just want to offer that out to you as we are in the kind of long days of summer where we can start to feel, and maybe you felt this when you were a kid and summer felt so long, and then you'd have times where you were bored. Let yourself feel that again. Let yourself be bored, and then see what emerges from that void. Give yourself time and space to look at something deeply, to contemplate something deeply, to just be with yourself. And if that makes you feel uncomfortable, so much the better for discovering that. Because in that discomfort is where learning begins, and where you can start to identify the things in yourself that need tending, that need care, and the things outside of yourself that need tending and care that you might have stopped paying attention to because you're paying attention to all of the people stuck inside your phone that don't know who you are, that frankly don't care who you are, and that don't have any connection to the truth of your own life. Take your power back. Use this as the tool that it is meant to be. When you need a ride in a state that's not your own, a foreign country or a different location, use your phone to call yourself a ride. When you need to change your flight because a flight got canceled and you're at the airport, use your phone to help you navigate those challenges. When you're in a foreign country and someone speaks to you in their language and you don't understand it, perfect time to use Google Translate. But you control it. You be the adult in the room, and don't let yourself get sucked in to the algorithm that is used to essentially exploit you. What are your choices? What can we sell you? How can we get more of your eyeballs on our screens? Take back your eyeballs, take back your attention, and choose what it is that you want to focus your attention on. I know on Energy Works, we often share a technique, and we've often shared the thymus thump. I'm going to share it again here because if you're feeling this real attachment to the phone where the hands are so sticky you can't even let it go, that's a really good time to thump on your thymus. Remind yourself where your power lies. Your power lies within you, and you can reclaim that. You can let it go. You can be strong enough. It doesn't matter what any of the Kardashians are doing today. I promise you, you can have a beautiful day, and you will have a beautiful day when you reclaim yourself at the center of your story. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know in the notes below if you've had a similar struggle with any of your devices and how you've overcome. Maybe we can all help each other to renormalize being normal and being human again. Love to hear your thoughts. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.